Good evening. This discussion is about superstitious beliefs that people have that don't have no bearing according to the scriptures at all. And it's called leaning to your own understanding. I said, to me, I was just thinking how hard it is to convey truth to people who have been taught a lie for so long. The lie is so powerful to the truth will make people turn away from it because it's so strange to hear truth. Because people are not willing to try to prove anything. They just accept what they've been taught for ages. Just because somebody taught something a long time, that don't mean it's not wrong. But for some reason, people say, okay, if I heard that, my mom and dad and everybody else heard that, then we got to accept that as being truth. And no, it don't even make sense. Read the scriptures, and the scriptures got different places where it tell you to prove all things. It didn't say prove something. If you can prove this stuff, well, if it should be proven, why don't we prove some of this stuff? And I'm listening to some minister thinking that he had the great wisdom of God. He's telling people that Jesus, some physical man, after he died, got resurrected spiritually, and then his body was transformed to some type of spiritual body. Science fiction. Now he can walk through a door. This man can just walk through a physical door. A physical man now that his body has been transformed to a spiritual body can walk through a physical door. You think about how foolish that got to be. And for somebody that called themselves to have any kind of intelligence to have to believe or accept that foolishness. Prove that myth. And I keep calling it foolishness and myth because that's what it is. There is no man that's going to ever be on earth that has a physical body that's going to walk through wood, which is most doors was made out of wood. You think about how corny that is. But that's what people are teaching. And people are accepting that as being God. God is a God of knowledge. And you know that's foolishness, so how you going to tell me that's God? The door that Jesus walks through is the door of somebody's mind. That's why Christ is called the head of the church. This is the door that needs to be opened. Knowledge is going to invade this here. And when it invades it, it unlocks this door. But if you're talking about a physical man walking through a physical door, that's foolishness. As I'm talking to you right now, if you are listening and you're a person of any kind of intelligence, reason, you would say, okay, they tell you that Christ is the door. Not just because we say it, because the scriptures actually teach that Christ is the door. Then they tell you that Christ is the head of the church. And if you say that the people are the church, well, what is this right here? Would this not be called your head? Well, if this is your head, this is the door that salvation is going to open. That's what Jesus means. Because before you can have salvation, the seed must give up something that was inside of it. So there was something locked in your mind that had it closed. But it's like, okay, the more you hear knowledge, the more knowledge invades this here, it's going to open up the door of your mind, your understanding. But if you're telling me some physical man walked through a physical door, that foolishness don't make no sense. It only makes sense when you use the Bible for what it was made for. Spiritual concepts. This is Christ. Unless you don't believe that the man or the believer is called the church. Well, if I am the church, well, what is my head? If I accept Christ to be my head, then I know I must sacrifice my way of thinking because my head is called Christ. And Christ is the only sacrifice that God will accept for sin. So once I give up my way of thinking, then my mind is being open. My door is being open so that salvation can come in. Because the word salvation just means to restore that which was destroyed. And just like I said, if you think naturally, every child is born into the world ignorant. So that's what we call the original sin. Because anytime a man and a woman copulate, the child has to develop. The child don't know anything. But the child came from something that did know something. But the child has to learn all the things that it lost in the process of being born. So now it's got to be born again, redeveloped where the head got to be developing knowledge again. So this is what God is using the metaphor of telling you the same thing. This child has to be redeveloped again with knowledge. Just like a natural child when it left the father and mother. Though they were mature, the child was going to have to grow again. It came into a fallen state. The child had to rise up, resurrect from a fallen state and come into knowledge again. The child don't know what's right and what's wrong. Somebody has to be mature enough to teach that child the difference between right and wrong. So it is spiritually with God's will. You're just like a child in ignorance to somebody come along that has been matured in the things of God and they say, okay, let me help you to revive back to the knowledge that you have lost. Like I said before, how do you know that's true? Look at any seed in the earth, whether it be pine tree, the human animal, you know what I'm saying? The sperm is a seed. But the reason I said look at the seed, think about the seed. When the seed leaves where it came from, it lost all of the knowledge of itself. So now what happened? As that seed develops again, it starts to reveal the knowledge of itself as it's been developed. But the less development, the less knowledge of self it has. So the more that your mind is being enlightened with understanding, it's being salvaged, it's being restored back to where it came from. But the more I stay ignorant, then it's just like the seed is considered to be dead, dormant, not developing. This is what the scriptures is really saying. It's a book of conscience. It's not talking about physical things. It's talking about mental. Because the mental of somebody is called the spirit of that person. Your mind is your spirit. And like I said before, your mind is called Christ because it's the seed that's going to develop into understanding. But it's in a lower state at the time. So when it's in the lower state, what we call seed, a seed is inactive. So it's called to be dormant, dead, still, not alive, no animation. But as it starts to develop in understanding, then it be considered to be coming alive, or what we might call to be awakened, to be conscious of things. And all the word conscious means is to be aware of things that are going on. But when you're not aware of something, you're still in the seed process, considered to be dead. Dead to what? To what's going on. You're not aware of really what's going on. We're not talking physical death. We're talking about spiritual death. So anything that's not aware of what's going on around it, it can't benefit from that thing. But once you become aware, then you can take the benefits of the thing that you have been awakened to. Knowledge is a powerful thing, and so is ignorance. And I said, the people were destroyed for a lack of knowledge, the book said. So he said, many sleep, and we're not talking about sleeping, going to sleep on the bed like you do at night, but it's spiritually equal to that. Because when a man is sleeping, he may dream, but the dream does not have no physical activity that really benefit him at all. So if you're walking through life sleeping, spiritual sleeping, that's equal to being dead. There's no benefit to your life, to you or no one else. But when you become awakened, just like that seed when it comes up out of the earth, as it blossoms up out of the earth, then it's a benefit to somebody because they can get the fruit of it. So your life has fruit that has been dormant until you're awakened from your ignorance. But ignorance is equal to death, and knowledge is equal to life. So in that being said, like I said before, I'm not getting real deep into this study. I'm just spewing out some things. Hope that somebody will take the time to prove and see if I'm right or wrong. You know what I'm saying? Though I know the truth, hopefully that you will search it and that you will come to the same conclusion that you might know the truth. And I tell people, I have said before, believing is a starting point, but you should not stay believing. You should come to a point of knowing things. That's why the Bible says you shall know the truth. But before you can know the truth, you have to have some confidence in the thing that you're studying, that it will lead you to some type of truth. But don't stay ignorant. As I said before, don't go around here and get caught up in all this science fiction. Some man died on a cross physically and he rose up the third day. And when you try to go back and count the third day from Friday to good Sunday morning, you can't come up with no 3 days. Evidently, that ain't what the book talking about. It must be have another meaning. Though I know the meaning, this is not the purpose of this video to teach that. But hopefully this will provoke you to think. Be blessed.